Hello Supercoaches, welcome to the CHEAPIE Bible Mark II. It is really hotting up in Supercoach land. Only a week and a half to go until the season starts in Vegas. Wilson Smith and Jett Hatton are with me. Wilso, heaps of changes.
Oh, so many. I think the fact that we sort of know what the CHEAPIE landscape is actually looking like now has finally enabled me to just make a host of changes. I've downgraded a bunch of mid-rangers into cheapies and then used the cash to bring in some more guns. So actually really happy with my team now.
Yeah, we've got a good indication on who the cheapies will be, and that has determined the structure of my side. I know where I want to go big with the rule changes, but also you need the cheapies in the right positions to make that work. I want to stack the pack. That means I need some cheapies at centre wing. Thankfully, they've come along. Jett, you've been making mass changes, I hear, as well.
Yeah, mate. Every time I seem to open the app, I'll make a change or two. I was saying to Wilso just before, I've got about 6 or 7 Titans in my team, but that could be worrying. But yeah, just making too many changes, but we'll see how we go.
Just on the Titans, though, they do have 6 or 7 really good buys. I think Patston's a must. I think Cooper Byers a must. Campbell was really good. Fayamani's a must. So, you've got 3 cheapies that are pretty much musts. And then you could go a pod with Campbell. There are some seriously good buys at that club. First buys in round 8, so hopefully most of them will be out of your team by then. Yeah,
well, Campbell actually, he's in my team off the weekend. I thought he was best on ground in the Indigenous game. That try that he almost scored was just enormous. So I think I'm going to have him in my team. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been chopping and changing with him, but I love him and I think I could be landing on him as well.
We, of course, did announce a couple of weeks ago that the stats provider has changed. There is a story on site where all the scores from last year have been adjusted to the new scoring system. I suggest you check that out. About, 35,000 people have looked at it so far. We need 200,000 people to look at that story because we want everyone to be all over the changes and see how it affects their team. In short, stack the pack a little bit more. There'll be more tackles. Also, centres will be getting more try assists. So a few more centres, a couple more props, maybe stack hooker a little bit more. Certainly need one gun hooker in Supercoach this year. Everyone, we watched the trials on the weekend. There was some decent action in there. So we're going to run through a little bit of news from the weekend before we get to our CHEAPIE Bible analysis. Tom Chester, he is confirmed for round 1. So great news CHEAPIE-wise for him. The issue is that Zach Laybutt drops out of the team. He's got a 2-game ban. So potentially Chester's just there for 2 games. But all the chat during the preseason was that Chester was looking good for that spot anyway. If he plays well, I think he maintains that spot. I wouldn't go him as your second fullback. I know a lot of people were talking that when the score changes came through. But I think you can chuck him in at centre wing, maybe even play him in Vegas in what's a pretty good matchup for him against the Knights.
Yeah, I do like Chester, and I did sort of think that the spot would be his, but so I have brought him into my team, but I do have some concerns because I thought Zach Laybutt looked pretty good in their first 2 trials, so there's a chance that when he comes back from suspension that maybe he comes into that spot, but in the same time, Chester will have 2 weeks to really show why he deserves that spot as well, so fingers crossed he just does well enough to lock it in.
Looks like there'll be points in Vegas and it's a good matchup, so I could even chuck him in my 17, but I probably won't go that far.
Yeah, to me, it's definitely a gamble just because of that 2-game thing. If Laybutt comes in, we don't get a price rise at all out of Chester, but as you said, all the preseason chat was that he's locked into the team. He's a big talent, good defender. If he plays 2 good games, it's going to be hard to knock him out of there.
Yeah, and even if Laybutt does come back, he's so close to a spot anyway. It's just one injury because he can play wing, he can play centre, could even slot in at fullback if Drinkwater goes down. He's a really good utility. He's one of these guys that if he's not in the 17, he's probably in jersey 18 or 19 anyway. And if there's an injury mid-game with the new extended benches, he could come in and play game time. So I will be starting with Tom Chester. Triple M, Ben Dobbin up there in Brisbane is saying that Trey Fuller is a good chance to play fullback for the Dolphins. I like this and I've brought him into my team. I look at my fullbacks, including my flex. I've got 3 mid-range fullbacks who are so exciting, absolute excitement machines in Farlongo, Kinney, and now Trey Fuller. It's going to be a fun ride, even if it fails.
Yeah, I do really like the look of Trey Fuller, and he's delivered big for Supercoaches in the past. I think I will be not going with the 3 fullback stack this year. I've got Isaiah Yeo in my flex at the moment, and I've really been liking that. But I think if he does get a round 1 starting spot, I think I'm going to stick with Kinney regardless. But I'd be tempted to punt Suafai-Longo and bring Trey Fuller in for sure.
What about for draft? Is he going to go up your draft rankings, which are going gangbusters
He
on the site right now?
will be moving up, yeah, for sure. But the thing is that if he's not starting at fullback, he's probably not really worth drafting. So it's a tough one. You wouldn't be going on him early, but he could be someone you could get some really good value from pretty late in the draft.
The other factor here is that Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow probably goes to centre, which means that he probably gets dual position as well. So that's something to keep in mind. Trey Fuller, he'd be your sort of guy for Supercoach, wouldn't he?
I didn't really think about him just then until you said 3 excitement machines. That'd just be so much fun having those 3 blokes in your team. Something I will say, if Trey Fuller goes to fullback, what does that mean for Herbie? Does Herbie go to the right? Obviously, made a name for himself on the left edge last year. Played all left when he was at Brisbane as well. But obviously, he's a class player. But do they get the ball that they get on the left with Isaiah Katoa there on the left, rather than, I'm not sure who the 6 is this year.
Nicarima.
Yeah, definitely left is the side you want to be.
Yeah, if he's on the right, it's definitely a negative. It's not good for Herbie.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that. Definitely concerning.
Jacob Carraz still in a little bit of doubt for Vegas. So the word from Serraldo, he's been named in the squad, which they've named really early, which is good for us. He's going to be on the plane, but he is still in a little bit of doubt with a soft tissue injury. Marcelo Montoya, the other winger, is in the same boat with a very similar injury. So that could mean that Jonathan Su'a comes on and plays in Vegas. They then do have the bye in round 2. It's probably only 1 game for him, but he was good in the trial, 66 points. He got to a try. There were some attacking stats in there too.
Yeah, he did look good. I think the job security is just a little bit of a concern. The fact that he could get a round 1 spot if 2 other blokes are ruled out, and then, like you said, round 2 bye, and then by the time they get back from the bye, you'd assume that one or both of those other 2 guys are back from injury, so then he probably drops out of the squad. So he looked good, so definitely one to keep an eye on throughout the season. He could be relevant later on, but I think, maybe avoid for now.
I know when Rinakama debuted last year that Jonathan Su'a was really close, and Rinakama's obviously injured now. So, look, you don't get on for round 1, but Carraz is injury prone. Marcelo Montoya's picked up a soft tissue injury recently. You've got Burton struggling with a hammy, which could affect their backline as well. So definitely keep him up your sleeve, but don't go there for round 1. Val Holmes has a hamstring injury, which the Dragons kept quiet. He picked it up in January. We only just found out about it last week. He's popular for Supercoach. The new rules suit him in that he gets lots of try assists. Would have had 9 try assists under the new system from last year, but only got 4 under the old system. So it's a big uptick for him. But does this hamstring injury affect your view of him?
Yeah, it certainly sours it, that's for sure. Hamstring injuries aren't nothing to play with, and they can take it easy with him. They might ease him back into the season and maybe misses the first game or 2. You don't want to have a Ferrari like Val out there in these early games and do his hamstring. I had him in my team the whole preseason. I've got him out because of that. I've just downgraded him to KL Iro. Even kicking goals, will he kick goals with a hamstring injury? Just those type of stuff. Just too many questions, I reckon.
I do still like him, but it's definitely concerning as well. But if he does go out, it could be good news for David Farley as well.
Yeah.
It could bring him back into sort of starting contention, which it looks like he's dropped out of for now.
Yeah, we could end up with our dream scenario of Setu 2 and David Farley both in that backline for Vegas. Hopefully it happens, because that'll be huge for Supercoach. The other point I wanted to make on Val is that he's got this hamstring injury that he just picked up. He's also coming back from a shoulder reconstruction. So he's starting to look a little bit brittle. Jake Clifford looks like he's locked in that 5'8" spot. He was really good in that final trial. So the follow-on effect for that here is that Purdue plays centre. I actually think he's a decent pod. Certainly in draft, he's a good option because 5'8" is thin. Maybe a pod for 5'8" for Supercoach Classic, given that 5'8" is just a horrible position and the Cowboys have a really good draw to start the year.
Yeah, I really, really like him and Clifford. And I think I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, but I was looking at it before, and I think when they're both in the squad together with Purdue at centre and Clifford at 5'8", they are both average a lot higher. So I think it's good news for both of them, and they both had really good pre-seasons in their respective positions. So I think it makes just sense for the Cowboys to stick with it.
It's also big for Drinkwater. So he got 112 in the trial, was huge. They were playing a reserve grade team, it must be noted. But Drinkwater's score, it's about 20 or 30 points per game better when Purdue is not the 5'8". So it's pretty glaring stats.
Yeah, he's just elite regardless. He'll play every year. Purdue looked awesome at centre on the weekend. He's just a talent. I've got him in my team at 5'8". As you said, that's a bit of a wasteland there at 5'8". And I much prefer him as a Supercoach perspective playing centre rather than 5'8", especially under the new rules as well. As you said, nice draw to start the year. Yeah, I've got him in my team.
Unfortunately, Orblicks Tawa has missed that edge role for the Broncos for the World Club Challenge. It was open with Piakura having that knee injury. He's probably out of round 1 as well. But the old fella, Jack Gajewski, has won that spot, and Tawa will play from the bench. I'm really excited to see Tawa play because he just absolutely nails people, and he's just fun to watch. But I don't think he is a Supercoach cheapie for this year.
Yep, I agree. I really did like to see that he wasn't starting because I wanted him in my team. I think he's a gun. I just think he's awesome to watch, and I like those type of blokes in my team. So maybe sometime this year he'll be a Supercoach prospect, but yeah, not round 1.
Yeah, hopefully, like the fact that will be coming off the bench, hopefully we see some price drops, and then if they have, a couple of injuries in the forward pack, maybe he gets a starting spot and we actually can get him a bit cheaper later on in the year. That would be ideal.
Got heaps of content up on the site now. Obviously, this is the time where everyone's signing up. Everyone's finalising your teams. Cheapie Bibles, team reveals from all of us. Your draft rankings are going absolutely gangbusters. So a lot of people are gearing up for draft nights coming pretty soon, as are we tomorrow night, actually, at Allianz Stadium. Plus Supercoach Plus, you got the free trial there. Get in, play with the stats, the past stats, the projections, ownership, captaincy percentages, all that sort of stuff. It's only $29.95 for the year, but you don't even need to pay now. It is free until round 2. Let's all pick a standout from the trial. The trials.
For me, I think Reed Marnie. I had obviously a lot of people were pretty big on him, and he is pretty popular. But I just through most of the preseason was kind of just off him. But I thought him being in the Cowboys side, their attack was just absolutely clicking in the first half, and I really liked what I saw. And I brought him into my team, and I think I'm so impressed with him that I think you can go with him. And I've moved Harry Grant on to bring Reed Marnie in. I'm that big on him now. So
really?
Reed Marnie was a standout for me.
Yeah, I've currently got Reed as my number 2, and I can't go without Harry Grant because he's got that good schedule. Plus, the new system suits him. It's off the top of my head, 7% up on the new system.
I agree. Reed Marnie looked awesome. I mixed around with him, having him in my team or not. Easy just opened up their attack so much. Yeah. How good was that? I don't even think they called it. It was when he grabbed it off the scrum and then went down the short side, and they scored off that when Drinkwater swept around. Just stuff like that. He's just such an instinctive footy player, and he'll suit the Cowboys so much. Maybe it's what they need, a player like him.
Sonny Luke, does he get a bench spot? And then Reed Marnie only plays 60 minutes, which is what he averaged last year at the Dogs.
Yeah, there's definitely some concerns there. Luke did play on the weekend and did take some minutes away from him. So there's still some question marks there. But I think from what we saw, the Cowboys need him out there. So, there's every chance that if they want to put Sonny Luke on, they keep Reed on and, bring a middle forward off and play Reed in the middle for a little bit. I don't know, but there's some concerns there for sure.
Who was your standout from the trials?
I'm going to cheat a little bit. It's not from the trials. It's from the All-Stars game.
Yep, that suits the weekend. Yeah.
Caden Lars, I thought he was the best forward on ground. He was awesome, the young forward from the Cowboys, so we'll stick at the Cowboys. Played 61 minutes, ran for 132 metres, 59 of those were post-contact. 3 tackle busts, 0 penalties, 0 errors.
Yeah.
I think they need a few middle forwards to fill a void there at the Cowboys, and he's only 19, 20 years old. Big future. The only concern is if Todd Payton plays him or not. If he does get a bench spot, he's about $230K. I think he'll be an awesome little Supercoach cheapie, and Yeah, he's got a massive future. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, there's game time up for grabs because Griffin Neem's not there for round 1. Should be back for 2. Jeremiah Nane, I know, is not a middle forward, but it still could affect him. He's out till what, around 6, 8, 10?
Somewhere between 4 and 10.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are definitely spots open. Jordan McLean's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like what you're saying. For me, I think my standout, I've got a couple here. You guys have taken a few of mine. I'll leave Luke Summerton for you.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So I'll go with Lasati from the Storm. 58 points. That's on the new scoring system. You can see all the scores up on the website right now under the new scoring system. I was a little bit miffed that he actually played this game because they didn't play a particularly strong team. So does that mean that he gets that edge spot of Katoa for round 1 or the lock spot of Trent Liero, who's suspended for the first couple of weeks? That's obviously what we want. Then he came out, killed it, 41 tackles in there, 58 in base. Didn't play the full game. His minutes, I don't know what his minutes were. Certainly wasn't the full 80.
Yeah.
So I really liked what I saw from him.
Yeah. Do you think? I think Joe Chan played for the Maori side.
Yeah.
So do you think that is why they were forced to sort of play him?
Well, Joe Chan's stats in the Maori game were pretty good too.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the situation there is at the Storm. They're keeping it pretty tight, but it looks like one of those will play in that Katoa edge role for round 1. And the one that doesn't play that one probably plays in the lock role of Liero. And then when Liero's back in, is it round 3?
Yeah,
that's when we get
3.
the big selection decision.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, Joe Chan's score in the All-Stars game was good as well. So I think whoever gets that starting edge spot in round 1, I think you can pretty safely just go with them and you'll be pretty happy.
Both in cheapie range, so you can lock those guys in. Let's go into the cheapies now. Who is your first cheapie picked for this season, Wilso?
I think just from what we've seen in the preseason so far, Setu 2 from the Dragons is just an absolute must-have. I think he's only the 4th most owned cheapie at the moment, but he should be 1 or 2, I think, just because he's the clear best cheapie centre wing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Just on him, 17 runs on the weekend, 3 offloads, 7 tackle busts. So he's got the base stats, 61 basically in base and power. Like, that's just huge. There's a try contribution in there too. You could play him almost every week. You could. That's almost keeper level. Throw some attacking stats in there, which you got in the first trial. You can definitely play him. He may even be in my 17 for that Vegas match.
For me, it was you just mentioned him, but Lasati. I just think he's a can't miss sort of pick, especially if he gets that 80-minute edge roll, which I think he will. I think Chan will get that bench roll after Liero comes back because he can fill in at middle, centre, edge, wherever. He's just so valuable there. So, yeah, Lasati, I think he's a can't miss. I think Josh Patston's a good shout as well. Yeah,
Patston it is for me. He's the 25th most popular player. I think he's going to play 60 minutes at a minimum on the edge. The job security is sensational. I was probably hoping for a touch more in the All-Stars match where he got 32 points in 47 minutes. But still, you're up that to say 60 minutes. Pardon, we're going to see some good rises for him. And I'm saying if, but it could genuinely happen. If he is an 80-minute back rower this year, you should be looking at an average of around that 60 mark. So he goes from being a almost bottom dollar cheapie to being a borderline keeper this season. And he's only the 25th most popular buy. Yeah,
he should be in way more people's teams. Everyone should be. He should be, top 5 cheapie.
Yep, absolutely agree. Now let's run through the most popular cheapies. Jonah Pezet at 67%. He's been number 1 since we launched a team picker just before Christmas. So for a long time, nothing has really changed there. His percentage has stayed pretty much the same. Only 21 in the trial on the weekend, so I was hoping for a bit more. But realistically, he played one half of footy, only 40 minutes. There was a try contribution in there. It was good enough for me. He's not going to get traded out for me.
Yeah, it wasn't the craziest numbers, but I think we saw enough to know that he deserves to be the number 1 cheapie still, especially the fact that he is at 5'8", which is such a bleak territory. When we sort of find out who the top 5'8s are actually going to be this year, he will hopefully be able to, trade him in and upgrade to whoever becomes the standout.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a bit of a non-event, that game on Sunday. For me, like, he was just out there to stretch his legs around.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that it was at the mighty Henson Park.
Yeah.
Other than that, the game was pretty flat.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister was there with his dog as well.
Yeah.
That was when it peaked, that match. Brandon Smith, I just don't get this. I really don't get that he's the second most popular purchase in Supercoach at 48%. Like, their back row is so good. I don't see him playing much back row off the bench. If he starts at hooker, then yes, I'll get him. If he's playing off the bench, I see him mostly being used as a hooker for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's just not going to be good enough to make money.
Yeah, no, I've been off Brandon Smith all preseason, and I'm still off him, and I won't really be interested until I see that he's named to start for round one. So for me at this stage, he's still in too many teams.
Yeah, I've called on him as well, especially with some of these cheaper options emerging with Luke Summerton, who I heard you're going to talk about later, and
don't ruin it.
Also Kalani Going, who I mentioned last week. He played on the weekend on the edge for Penrith and did nothing wrong out there as well. Made his tackles.
Yeah.
Or you just go up to Reid Marnie, or Jake Simpkin, who we haven't even seen yet, but he could play 80 minutes at hooker as well, which would be great. Lasati is third on the list. Yeah. We've spoken about him. Setu 2 is fourth. We all agree with that. Cooper Bye. He was much lower on this list. I know a lot of people were fading Cooper Bye, particularly when it was announced that we'd have these 6-man benches and Cooper Bye being a bit down that bench list, may not get games, etc. Then everyone's watched him in the last 2 weeks in the trials, and he has gone up to 40% ownership. I think the eye test on here just tells the full story. 39 points. I reckon he played 30 minutes. Like, didn't even play that much game time. Eye test is great. I think you have to lock it in. Even though I don't think he's going to play huge minutes to start the year, it'll be a slow burn. But by round 8, when they have the bye, he should have made at least 100k, probably more.
Yeah, I definitely don't really love having a bench back rowers in my team usually, but I think with Kubai, I've seen enough that he should have some big scores even in limited minutes, and he's the kind of player that could come on and easily just change the game. So. I've definitely cooled on him a little bit, but I think I've still seen enough that I will just run with him.
Yeah, I think it'll be a slow burn with him, but I think last year when he debuted, it might have been like his first touch. He scored a try, but then it got taken off him.
Yeah.
So, exactly what you said there. Like, he's got these explosive moments where he might only play 30 minutes, but score a try, maybe get a try, assist, a few offloads. So, yeah, as you said as well, the eye test, geez, he's massive. Yeah. He's a big boy.
Comes from good stock, just like your Caden Lars calls as well. And it's just a tackle buster offloader. Pardon. Most of his runs are going to be over 8 metres. One of these guys can just do a lot in a small amount of minutes. Ethan Sanders is the 6th most popular. We haven't seen him in the preseason yet. We should see him on the weekend. The clincher here is whether he kicks goals. If he doesn't kick goals, I won't be selecting him. Hopefully we'll find that out from Ricky Stewart before they take the field for round 1.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I've actually moved on from Ethan Sanders, and I'm slightly preferring Daniel Atkinson at the moment, who's a bit lower on this list. He looked pretty good on the weekend as well, even in the losing Dragon side. But I think you do need to run with one of them to start the year, but I have just cooled on Sanders a little bit.
Yeah, I have too. I've got Daniel Atkinson in there at the moment. He was really good in that trial. It was against a reserve grade team. Let's face it. How much can we really read into it? But look, if Sanders is kicking goals, he comes up the list a touch.
Yeah.
What are you thinking on Sanders?
I've never had Sanders in my team just because I've always had Daniel Atkinson. I've seen him be the best player on a top 8 team when the Sharks had all those injuries. Dane Laurie had a few nice touches on the weekend. Dane Laurie's not a reserve grade player. He's a first grade quality player, and he looked really good at 7. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Sticky gave him a go and played him at 7, because he's got a lot of talent, and maybe the move to Canberra is just what he needs. He went back to Penrith, had that year underneath Nathan Cleary and the like. So, geez, I wouldn't pick Sanders with any confidence because Dane Laurie just looked awesome there on the weekend.
So while we're talking about halfbacks, is anyone thinking the double cheapie at halfback? It was pretty popular early in the season. I'm not going there, and currently I've got Atkinson and Nico Hines. I know that halfbacks lose out under this new system. But Nico's also got this great run to start the year, and he's got the Titans at Shark Park for round 1 where you can captain him easily. So look, I'm thinking Atkinson and Hines at the moment. I could go Jaden Campbell. Could even go with Mitchell Moses now that he's got the goal kicking. I don't think I'm going to go with 2 cheapies at halfback though.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. What did Nico score on the weekend in SuperCoach? Like 60,
he got
60
69,
something.
yeah.
And he barely did anything as well. He just accumulates so many SuperCoach points. Like, the new scoring system won't change Nico at all, really. It'd just be tough if you go the 2 cheapie option and you get these 2 blokes who, might score 20 to 30 and you have to take one of their scores. So, yeah, I think it's not an option at all.
Yeah, no, definitely not going with the double halfback cheapie anymore. I think you've got to lock in a gun. And, yeah, I've got Atkinson and Nico at the moment, but I'm just tossing between Nico and Jaden Campbell.
Before these prices come down, it really has to be 4 rounds before you're actually going to, first of all, see the price rise from one of these guys like Sanders, and then the drop from one of the other guys, and then you make the move. You've got 4 weeks of playing one of these guys in your 17. I just don't want to do that. I want to start with at least a mid-ranger like Mitchell Moses, and hopefully a gun. On to Jesse Colquhoun. I reckon he's 15 points underpriced. There was some chat that McInnes would be back really early, but he's come out and said he's back in May. So it looks like Colquhoun has more than enough time to make cash for us.
Yeah, I agree, Jesse. He's a 50-50 for me, just because Jorge Papuru is there as well. Yeah. He earned himself a bench spot last year. Looked pretty good in the Indigenous game on the weekend. I think Colquhoun will play 50 to 55 minutes, and if that's the case, as you said, he's 15 points underpriced, so he should make some money.
Definitely agree. I've got him in my team at the moment. He's probably not someone I'm going to start every week, but I think there's money to be made there.
Dual position on him is just so crucial because there's not that many dual guys that you can swing between back row and front row this year. Siali Faimani, so 31 points in base stats, basically, or base and power. You've got 3 tackle busts in there, 12 runs. People have said he's a bit of a Brian To'o. He kind of lived up to that. There's no big attacking stats in there, but I liked what I saw. He is all but locked in for a wing spot there at the Titans, so I think he's pretty much a must-have.
Yeah, I think between him and Setu too, I think you kind of need both of them to start the season. They're the 2, I think, clear standout centre wing cheapies. So, completely agree, and I think you've just got to lock both of them in.
Speaking of centre wing cheapies, Hamasi Makasini was ridiculously good on the weekend. Came straight after we said, or certainly I said, that I don't think he is going to play in their second round, round 2, their first game, because Jarrell Skelton's ahead. Then he comes out, bangs out 3 tries, looked pretty much untackleable. There were 3 line breaks attached to it. There were 5 tackle busts. So he looked sensational, but the fact that he was even named for that trial means that he's still probably not going to play that first match of the year in round 2.
Yeah, geez, he's going to be hard to leave out of your team. That first try he scored was just crazy. Like, there was nothing on, and he's just gone through 4 blokes and just scored.
He's a bit of a pinball, isn't he? He can just bust tackles out. He's a bit sort of Suali'i-like.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in there at some stage, and when he does, you're going to need to get him in, because he'll probably be the best cheapie of the year if he gets a full-time spot there, just because I can easily see him, scoring a few tries and averaging 65 to 70.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance that with how good he played on the weekend, that he has played himself into a starting spot, but we won't know until round 2, which just means, part of me would still like to just start with him because I feel like he's going to be a buy at some point anyway. But the fact that there's just some uncertainty around him just is a little bit concerning. So my plan at the moment is to just not pick him, and then if in a couple of weeks into the season we see that he is starting and one of the other centre wing cheapies is not working out, it's an easy pivot.
Yeah, you can wait till round 4 because, there's every chance that one of these cheapies don't fire, or say Tom Chester, gets overtaken by a lay button. By the time it's round 4, say Makasini's in the side, hasn't had his price rise, you can just flip one of those blocks to him.
I think I'm happy to stash him. I reckon I'm going to buy him because it just means I can upgrade. I can stack the pack a bit more with guys like Yo, who improves under the new system. So at this point in time, my team structure just looks so good. if I've got Macassini in there and I can spend elsewhere. But hopefully we'll get like a really good opinion of him from Benji Marshall during the preseason, and we can do it with a bit more surety. David Farley's gone to 11th, so he's dropping down that list. But you did mention that with the injury to Val Holmes, that could suit him. Josh Patston's at 13th. Now, he should be much higher.
Yep.
Taniela Paseka, I think, is the best of the prop cheapies. Actually, Colquhoun you can get a prop too. So
Yeah.
I think both of those guys, maybe not musts, but I've certainly got both of them in my team.
Yeah, or run with both of them. Put Paseka in your front row and Colquhoun either in your front row or your back row. I've got both of them in my team at the moment. And when we were breaking down the numbers of the biggest winners of the scoring changes, Taniela Paseka was one of the biggest winners. So I think, for me, he's the clear best front rower cheapie. And go him and Colquhoun. I reckon you can't go wrong.
Both. I've got them both in the front row.
Me too. I got them both in the front row. I think it might be a slow start for Paseka, given it's his first couple games off the lengthy layoff. But after round 3, round 4, I feel like you can confidently play him in your team every week.
Yeah.
Speaking of front rowers, it was so good seeing Tom Flegler barge over for that try in his first game back for basically 2 years. But he did play from the bench. I think they're going to ease him back minutes-wise. I don't think he is a purchase for SuperCoach, although I'll be watching his comeback pretty closely because it's just good for rugby league.
Yeah, I reckon he'll come back via the bench. I think the fact that he's come back now means they probably won't ease him back through Queensland Cup. I think he will just get a bench spot to start, which means for me that he's not a purchase to start with, but he is like, when fully fit, he's their best front rower. So you've got to think that even if he does start off the bench to start the year, that after a few games, he will get a starting spot. So definitely one to potentially bring in later on in the year, but not to start with.
Yeah, definitely a wait and see for me. As you guys said, it was awesome to see him score that try on the weekend when he just big smile on his face. But I couldn't go him in SuperCoach.
Right, this segment is the left field cheapie of the year, the low ownership guy that people probably never heard of, or at least, let's say below sort of 5% ownership. Wilso, this is your chance to finally talk about your boy, Luke Summerton.
He's been name dropped 2 or 3 times already, but I've gone Luke Summerton, former Panther, now Titans hooker. I think we all sort of just assumed Sam Verrills was going to be their starting hooker, but then in their trial last week, Summerton was named to start ahead of him with Verrills off the bench, which I thought was quite telling. And Summerton, I think he scored 81. It played
80 flat, I think, right on 80.
Played big minutes, made a heap of tackles, and had a couple of try assists as well. So I would still want to see that he's actually named to start round 1 before I bring him in. But if he is, I would be very tempted.
Yeah, I mean, they could just have been easing Sam Verrills through. So who knows? But he got 36 in base in those 80 points. And played decent minutes, but certainly not the full 80, was it? So, it's a good score. Who's your left field guy?
For me, or someone no one's talking about at all in the front row, it's Cody Hopwood. He's missed the first 2 trials because he's got a little niggling calf injury. But he's a talented young forward. I think he was the number 1 ranked player out of high school by Code Sports a few years ago. There's a big gap to fill there at the Knights with Leo Thompson off to the Bulldogs. Jack Etherington's not there anymore, so I was just looking at the way it'll play out. He's definitely going to get a bench spot there at Newcastle. And if he plays 40 to 45 minutes, which definitely looks achievable, he's about 200k. So he's well underpriced and just someone no one's talking about.
Yeah, I like that. And it's his time to shine, really. These props generally take a couple more years to develop than, you see centre wingers and even halfbacks debuting pretty early. Whereas the props, they get to sort of 20, 21, 22, and that's when they really start firing. So it could be his time to shine. For me, Jonathan Su'A look, I don't think it's going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen for round 1. Don't buy him for round 1. Carraz could be out, and Marcello Montoya could be out, both in a little bit of doubt for Vegas. So Su'A could play. Don't get him because then they got the bye the next week, and then Montoya and Carraz will be back. But the fact that he is so close to NRL selection shows that he will probably be a cheapie in SuperCoach at some stage. Obviously got 60 odd in the trial as well, so he looks pretty good. Could play a number of positions, so he could, if they lose a centre, he could play there. If they lose a winger, he could play there. So I think he will be a factor at some stage.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Inari Tuala there as well makes
Tuala,
me
yeah.
a little bit uncertain. So I think, basically definitely avoid for now. But yeah, definitely someone to keep an eye on as the season goes on.
Unfortunately, Tuala not a cheapie for Supercoach.
Yeah.
That is it for our Cheapie Bible episode. Next week is when it starts getting real. We'll have Team List Tuesday for the Vegas games. Catch you then.